What is up, and welcome to another edition of the Mile High Hoops podcast. As always, I am your host, Zach Bai, and as always, I appreciate you spending a sliver of your busy day with me here on the podcast, reacting to a 114-106 Nuggets win in Chicago, but a game that took on a life of its own for the wrong reason, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Hopefully, you guys are doing fantastic. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, hello. If you're not and you're listening on denversports.com or wherever you get your podcast, you can check us out, the visual version there, as we are slowly inching towards our brand new studio being completed, and really look forward to what that's going to look like. In the meantime, we'll hang out here, and let's just take a dive right into it, guys. With the nature of now doing these on scheduled dates, Tuesdays and Thursdays, a lot of times our immediate reaction has to wait about 24 hours just because we're scheduled on all these social platforms and whatnot, where in the past we'd be reacting like the day after a game. And oftentimes it works like that anyway. But here, reacting to the night the game 2 nights ago on Tuesday night, and at the time of recording, it is Thursday, Denver goes into Chicago. The game will be remembered for really one thing and one thing only. We talk about these footnote wins and losses through the long course of an NBA season. This will stick out. This will be remembered. There's no question about it because of what happened with Nikola Jokic and the NBA official who tossed him out after a game, or tossed him out of the game, after one tech. In something that I have quite literally never seen before. Like, how oftentimes, serious question, how oftentimes do you watch an NBA game where you see something that you've never seen? That's what happened on Tuesday night in the United Center. I watch NBA basketball, not just Nuggets, all the time. Like, transitioned after that game on Tuesday night into a league pass late night. I think there was a Clippers game after that. Anyway, regardless, I'm watching NBA basketball. I love it. It goes beyond Denver, and I have literally in my probably some 36, probably 20 years straight of watching the NBA closely since I was a teenager, 15, 16, really falling head over heels in love with the game. I can't remember any single tech ejection that was less demonstrative than Jokic's challenging of the official on his way back on defense in Chicago. It was absurd. And when I'm watching the game, I'm controlling myself to going on Twitter and cursing like I wanted to. But this official, who's a younger official, okay, Musa Dagger, I hope I'm saying that right, was too thin-skinned. There's no two ways for me to slice it other than that. He got sensitive in the moment, and the accusation, depending on who you listen to, and it was picked up by people sitting courtside, whether Jokic said, call the foul MFer or call the MF and foul, neither of those two things warrant an ejection. You could actually build the case, and guys, I have been sitting down close to these games. You hear guys mic'd up. This is how these guys talk. I don't know what to tell you if you don't like it. It's how they talk on a possession-by-possession basis, okay? And you could actually make an argument that if Jokic said, call the bleep and foul, a lot of times that's literally not atypical, okay? And we've seen it. And Draymond Green, who I want to talk about here in just a couple minutes, who's completely out of control, he has said that to officials' faces with spit flying in their eyes and not been kicked out of a game. Kevin Garnett was another one who could berate officials. Shoot, we've seen LeBron and Jordan and Kobe using language like that directly into an official's face and stay in the game. So why on earth would this young official think in real time that it was okay to eject the MVP of the league, no less? And it shouldn't even be like that. You should not get ejected if you're Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in that moment, okay? So the fact that Jokic, who isn't getting the foul anyway, like if you unpack it further, and he isn't getting a whistle that you would think an MVP would get, but it's doubly bad where the officials would be so thin-skinned that he would be removed from a game after one technical on Serbian night in Chicago, which is one of the largest Serbian populations in the world. And certainly here in America. And I forget whether we talked about it here on the last episode or on my radio show, The Drive, on 104.3 The Fan, is that we've seen this repeatedly in Chicago. They kind of build this night around Jokic, where people bring the flags and it's Serbian stuff at halftime. And this is a thing in Chicago. And the lack of bandwidth for this official to understand the context of what he was about to do is ridiculous. And I have never seen a hometown crowd boo an officiating crew for tossing out a visiting player. They cheer that stuff 10 out of 10 times. And so literally, again, file that under something I've never seen. And then furthermore, if you were watching the Chicago broadcast with, oh my gosh, what's his name? Not Amin Al-Hassan, Adam Amin, who also calls NFL games. He's the full-time Bulls play-by-play guy. He and his partner, forgive me, I don't know who it is. They're like, are you kidding me? What an absolute joke. And so I was embarrassed actually for the league on Tuesday night. And I'm certainly embarrassed for that official. He had to have regretted it. And if he didn't regret it after the smoke settled, the NBA is not a place for him. Okay? This is a big boys league. And I'm not saying it's okay to talk to someone, scream in someone's face, but he wasn't even in his face. Did he use quote unquote crude or vulgar language? Yeah, he did. Did he deserve a technical foul? Sure, give it to him. But an ejection was just so way too heavy-handed. It was absurd. I hated it. And in a league that quite literally changed the structure of their season awards to have a game limit to prevent stars from missing games and hurting fans who have paid to see them, to watch an official who represents the NBA take a star off the court in that situation for that, it just adds another layer of embarrassment. I thought it was a really bad night for the NBA. It speaks to the continuous lack of respect for Jokic, which we thought would change after the Nuggets won a championship. It hasn't. Okay, I'm talking about just from getting the foul calls that he deserves. Okay, and by the way, this is I think the longest we've ever spent on officiating in 6 years of doing this podcast, 6 seasons of doing this podcast. I don't think because I don't like talking about officials because I believe everything comes out in the wash. All right, so I don't sit there and dwell. But this was a rare exception. All right, and the lack of respect is obvious, but also Jokic is actually a layer beyond that. It feels like he has a bit of a toxic relationship with these NBA officials, a lot of them. And the one that is the lower hanging fruit is Tony Brothers, of course, the long history there. But it's not just that. And you think about the way that Jokic has been ejected from some playoff games and got tossed out against the Pistons earlier in the season. And he's created a bit of a reputation for himself. And that's not good. Like, so moving beyond this clown behavior from this official, just Jokic moving forward, it's something to keep an eye on. He needs to dial it back because for the lack of respect and the previous somewhat toxic history between him and NBA officials, it's now like a game day storyline that we need to keep our eye on, and that's unfortunate. And Jokic, he can help himself in that regard. He needs to have better control. Okay, even despite not getting the whistle that he deserves, both things are true at the exact same time. He's got to do a better job of composing himself. So this is now a couple times, okay? And we shouldn't see it for a third time this season. It wouldn't shock me if it's Jokic's new mantra and new mission to literally not say anything to officials. He did a better job at this at the start of last year, I think it was, because it's been an issue for years. He's got to stay proactive on that. Okay. I think that's everything I wanted to say about that situation. Actually, one more. Because this was so flagrant and obvious that it shouldn't have happened, that everyone in the moment recognizes it, the Chicago home crowd, the Chicago home announcers, everyone with a set of eyes and an actively working brain, because it was so egregious, I thought Michael Malone missed a massive opportunity. In fact, not only did I think he missed an opportunity, I think he actually handled it the wrong way. After the game, he was joking about it. and like openly joking about, hey, Jokic got kicked out, we won, that's all that matters. And no, that's not all that matters, because this is now a theme moving forward that we need to keep our eye on. And I thought it was a real missed opportunity for him to absolutely lose his mind and draw a line in the sand that draws even more attention to how Jokic was treated in the United Center on Tuesday night. Now, does that mean you're going to, do like Tim Hardaway did back in the day? Remember, he took a TV monitor and threw it onto the court. No, but do you do something over the top? Of course, get yourself kicked out. That's a baseline, how you have to handle that. If that's how they're handling your star and you're joking around about it after the game, I did not like that moment from Michael Malone. I didn't. So I thought he should have ran through a wall for Jokic in that moment. Take the basketball, kick it, do, like, was that Blue Chips? Kick the basketball in this, like, do something that you've never done before, because we saw something that we've never seen before. And I thought the action from Malone didn't even come close to meeting what happened to Jokic. Okay. To the game itself, I'm going to keep it really brief because I want to get to some of these other NBA thoughts. Reggie Jackson did it again. Reggie Jackson was the central reason why they won. Now, is he out there playing 1-on-5? No. But to have 25 points in that spot where Jamal doesn't play after rolling the ankle in the previous game against Atlanta, he doesn't play, then Jokic gets kicked out, in the first half. The way that Reggie Jackson has continuously stepped up, we've gave him his flowers repeatedly on this podcast, but a duty calls again. I mean, from knocking down threes, finishing acrobatically in transition the way, remember, and I wanted to mention this, I had it in my notes, and just sometimes because I'm going solo here, I don't have a second to gather thoughts sometimes the way I want to, but he had a finish in the Atlanta game in transition where, like, he is hanging in the air like he's 22 years old and, like, finishes it, like, from his chest, waist area and gets it to go in. This guy has been fantastic. He has been a central reason why they've won in, like, 3 to 4 games this season. And it was another example, 9 of 16 from the floor, 5 of 8 from 3, 6 assists to just 2 turnovers. So you got 3-to-1 ratio there. And then the other guy who played really well for a second consecutive night, and I don't think we've seen him do it on consecutive nights, is Julian Strawther, who we spent a lot of time on Tuesday talking about his performance against the Hawks, where he became the first rookie in NBA history to make 6 threes in a game and also finish with 5 steals and had 22 points. He follows it up with a 4 of 9 shooting night, made multiple threes, 2 of 5, grabbed 6 rebounds, which he hadn't pulled down 6 rebounds all season long. So a season high on the glass, efficient night scoring it. 4 or 9, but yeah, still efficient. But 3 assists. I thought Julian Strawther backed up his performance against Atlanta, and it was the first time this season where Strawther finishes with double figures on consecutive nights. Okay, so a really nice little benchmark, not turning the corner of consistency or whatever, because we could see him not hit a shot and have a short leash against the Nets on Thursday night. But for a young basketball player, 21 years old, playing in the best league in the world in the first 2 months of this for him, really nice little 2-game segment there. Okay. I want to talk about a couple things in the NBA right now. First of all, an opportunity for Denver to win some games at home here. All right? Win some games at home. You have 3 home games in a row against the Brooklyn Nets on Thursday night, Oklahoma City Thunder on Saturday night, and then Dallas on Monday night. You notice Thursday, Saturday, Monday, there's a day off in between each game. Denver's played a lot of back-to-backs, played a lot of road games. It's an opportunity to be at home with rest. Nets coming into Ball Arena after having played the previous night against Phoenix. Okay, so got to win that one. I'll say that. You got to win that one. And then 3-0 should be the goal here. 3-0 should be the goal here. It was around this time last year where Denver really put their foot on the gas. Okay, and they have an opportunity, especially if Jamal is coming back, and I believe he will be back on Thursday night, to really make some hay here. Really make some hay. It looks like 7 of the next 10 games are in Denver. So really nice opportunity to get some home cooking. and put some wins in their pocket. And then the 3 times they go on the road, not world beaters. Toronto, Brooklyn, and Charlotte in between the 2 homestands. All right, real quick before we get out of here. And by the way, I think Nuggets are going to take care of business against the Nets in a serious way on Thursday night. I do not see one person on the Nets roster that can guard Jamal Murray. And I'm expecting Jamal to have a big night after his season-high 29 against Atlanta. I think he comes back in a big way. I just don't think they have the horses to stay with Jamal. And I'm also expecting Jokic to have a huge night as well. All right, real quick, before we get out of here, the Draymond Green stuff. And the Giannis stuff. Quick little thought on both. One, Draymond Green is completely out of control and has been out of control. This guy is an absolute loose cannon. Now, of course, he's got the checkered history. Of course, he might have, you could make an argument he cost the Golden State Warriors an NBA title back in 2016 when he hit LeBron in the groin. Okay, he's been trouble. All right, whether you're talking about, suspended by his own team in the past with his confrontation with Kevin Durant, punching Jordan Poole in the face and disrupting and fracturing their team and derailing their season before it ever started before of the 2022 season. Already in 2023, he exceeded 16 fouls in a season and served a suspension. He stomped on the chest of Domantas Sabonis of the Kings during that exciting playoff series in last year's playoffs. Just completely unacceptable behavior. He puts Rudy Gobert in a damn chokehold in the first couple games of the NCAA tournament, the in-season tournament. Suspended for 5 games, and now completely uncalled for, hitting Jusuf Nurkic in the face. And his explanation that he was trying to draw a foul. And whenever in the history of the game of basketball, have you ever seen someone draw a foul by turning around and swinging their hands towards another player's face? He has crossed or turned a corner for me. Reminds me of Vontaze Burfict in the NFL. You are not looking out for your opponent's safety. You have malicious contact now repeatedly. I am so done with Draymond Green. I think he's one of the great players that we've seen of his generation, one of the great defensive players. I think he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. But in this moment, looking at these actions, he's out of control, and he's completely hurting the Golden State Warriors. So I don't like it. I hope he gets, 10 games. Give him 10 games. Have him go sit down for a long time and make him think twice about doing something like that ever again. And then, crazy, this damn league here. The Bucks players confronting the Pacers in the hallway in an effort to get Giannis's 64-point game ball. It's classic NBA soap opera drama. Franchise record for the Bucks. Some good players have played for the Bucks, right? Michael Redd, Big Dog Glenn Robinson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? Long history there. He should get that game ball. But I think these two teams, they're chippy. They played like 3 times in the last 2 weeks. Emotions running high. And in the same game, you have Dame Lillard crack the top 5 all-time NBA made threes. The last thing that ball should go to is that rookie who no one knows his name. Look, if Peyton Manning throws a franchise record-setting touchdown and a rookie catches it and Peyton wants that game ball, it's not a discussion. Why is this a discussion? Giannis is the greatest player in the history of the Bucks. He set a franchise record. The Pacers were being petty as hell. And yeah, I mean, if you are on the side of like, hey, you think that the rookie deserves it because he made a free throw, his first NBA free throw, that is such a weak take, in my opinion. I think it's pretty cut and dry. I think the Pacers were being petty. These two teams have a little friction, a little heat from being around each other a little bit too much, and just silliness. But that's truly, at the end of the day, this isn't like real beef. This is silly NBA stuff. But part of the reason why, in a morbid way, I just can't get enough of that league. All right, we're going to leave it there for now, guys. The Nuggets will, like we talked about, play the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, a couple players to watch from the Nets. All right, Cam Thomas for sure. It has potential to put 30, 40 points on the board. My college teammate from the College of St. Rose, Steve D'Agostino, Dags basketball, is one of his trainers. So I've followed him for quite a while. And he's making a name for himself in the NBA. And of course, we know Spencer Dinwiddie and Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. I'm a huge fan of Mikal Bridges. I fawned about him in the past. I'll save your time. But I think they need to pack a lunch after playing down in Phoenix and then flying through the night, coming here into altitude on the second night of a back-to-back. I think the Nuggets get this win, and it will be 3 in a row. And then beyond that, looking toward the weekend, we kind of just went through it a second ago, but they're going to turn around and play on Saturday in the evening against Oklahoma City, Monday against Dallas, and then we'll be back here on Tuesday reacting to these games that happen over the course of the weekend. Guys, I hope you're doing great. Thanks for being here. Guys, tell a friend about this podcast, rate, subscribe, leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys. Hope everyone's doing great. Have a great weekend. Hopefully the Nuggets get some wins over the weekend. But whatever happens against Brooklyn, OKC, and Dallas, we're going to be back on Tuesday talking about it right here on the Mile High Hoops podcast.